Super Troll Islands. Shit, they used to make video games out of anything back then. Like these troll dolls that used to be a thing. They tend to be a fad every few years or so, and then somewhere along the way we got the Super Nintendo game released in 1994 by the late THQ. Super Troll Islands is something of a metaphor, or rather an irony if you think about it. You assume the role of one of 4 trolls, and your main objective through each of the game's 50 levels, Jesus Christ, is to run around this mostly monochrome level and turn everything into color. When enough of the level has been colorized, the evil mist that inhabits the level will disperse, revealing the background in the background, and you move on to the next level, which is more of the same, but bigger and longer and higher and wider. Now contrast that with the landscape of the modern age of video games, where the objective of the trolls would be to run around this once colorful industry and turn it into monochrome, sometime with the occasional duotones of browns and beiges. Clearly, if you wanted a true test of your hardcore gaming mettle, then look no further than Super Troll Islands. This game right here is a true hardcore gamer's delight. All those other games that claim to be for the hardcores, your Call of Duties, your Halos, your Battlefields, your Titanfalls, your Contras, your Maddens, all those games are for pussies, man. This right here is a true hardcore game. Note that I called this game hardcore. Never at any point did I call this game good. But then again, I didn't say it was bad either. All I said it was hard, whatever. Setting that nonsense aside, the goal of Super Troll Islands is simple, simply basically turning everything in a level from monochrome to color. You do this by running over the ground and platforms and climbing ladders and using your tornado ability to colorize certain background elements like trees and stuff. That's actually quite a unique concept for the time, and certainly something that hasn't been done all too often. At certain points when the entirety of certain platform setups were colorized, the mist contained within would fade away, revealing the rather colorful background. Once you open enough of these windows, the entirety of mist goes away and fruit falls all over the place that you could pick up and consume for bonus points, and you move on to the next level and do the same thing all over again. You've got 4 trolls, each playing pretty much the same but having minor differences. One could probably run really fast, another could dive underwater, another can take an extra hit, and I forgot what the other one does, but they all look the same, and your trolls take about 3 or 4 hits before they are put to sleep. Literally. And once all 4 trolls are put to sleep, it's game over. With a couple continues on hand, so you can keep going. Super Troll Islands allows you to customize your control setup, but basically it boils down to 3 basic abilities. A jump button that you could jump with, a toss button that you could pick up certain items and toss them, and a special tornado button that enables you to colorize background elements such as trees and pillars and things of that nature by turning into a tornado, of which you have a limited number of uses, but you could get more as you progress through the game. By default, you have a set number of pies that you could toss at enemies and cover them in stuff, but if you happen across any stray fruits or objects, you could toss those at enemies instead. Alternatively, you can also press the trigger key to consume object in hand, which is a much needed ability to attain more tornado icons or other pickups that might be beneficial to your survival. Jumping is self-explanatory. You jump, you could somewhat control your jump in midair, you could jump off ladders, you could jump onto mushrooms or trampolines, and they'll give you more jumping height, or at least that's the theory. Doesn't always work, probably a timing thing. Anyway. I suppose I can't complain too much about the controls since they work the way they're supposed to, and they're somewhat responsive even if there's an issue trying to get off ladders on a mid-level platform. But if there is one nit worth picking, it's the overall running speed of your trolls, which almost reaches Sonic the Hedgehog levels of speed bursts. No blast processing needed here, kids. The speed of these trolls are perhaps the game's biggest detriment, because it's very easy to run into an enemy or fall off a platform or even mistime a jump and miss a higher level. You really need to get a grip on these controls if you're going to get far. It takes a while, but it can happen. Kinda. Sorta. Anyway, let me shoot some numbers regarding Super Troll Islands. 50 plus levels, there's a couple bonus levels in there as well. 4 trolls to play with. 3 continues. 0 save options. Not even a password system. The sad thing is that despite the unique concept at play here, there is not enough substance in Super Troll Islands to stretch to 50 plus levels. By the time you get to the level 10s or the level 20s, you've pretty much seen all that the game has to offer you in terms of gameplay and depth. It's pretty much the same deal as a game like, say, Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle, the kind of game that's best enjoyed in short bursts. But Super Troll Islands has no such option. You jump into this game, you're in this for the long haul or until you die. And that is what separates men from boys. That is what separates hardcore gamers from the casual crowd. That is what separates the beefcakes from the pussies, man. Do you stick with this for the long term, or do you drop out in shame before digging deep inside that rainbow and go back to your Call of Duty like every other man pussy out there? This game right here, this is hardcore. On the other hand though, being hardcore is overrated, and the casual crowd is too busy playing mildly constipated birds or whatever stupid hot fad is out there on the mobile market. But I digress. Super Troll Islands is adequate visual fare, but not much more than that. It's your typical cutesy-putesy settings with generic trees and rainbows and cartoony things. The effect in which pieces of level suddenly gain color is simple but effective, although I'd imagine the rainbow effects for certain larger objects might be a bit more seizure-inducing than anything. Also, I don't like the bit where the troll is constantly staring a hole into my consciousness. I'm not even kidding, you could see for yourself, this troll is always facing you, even when climbing ladders. You never see the back of this troll's head, and every so often, the troll will wink at you. Never before has something so... I got nothing, never mind. And then, when you clear a level, you get... Oh, jeez! There's a few cutesy songs in Super Troll Islands. They're forgettable fare, but I suppose fits the tone of the game. There are some cutesy sound effects, again, forgettable but suits the material. And finally there are some kiddie voice bites because the trolls are kids at heart. I guess. I don't know. I'm not familiar with trolls. Super Troll Islands has an interesting concept going for it, and once you get used to the slippery on-speed controls, there is something of a good time to be had here. Unfortunately, there's not enough substance to the gameplay that it merits 50 plus levels of play. It's the case where it's the kind of game that you'll want to play in moderation, but you have to start from scratch every single time, and let's be honest, that gets boring. I suppose if you got a kid who likes playing with trolls or something, they might actually get a kick out of Super Troll Islands. Oh, and hardcore gamers will absolutely love this game. But for the rest of us, it's not bad for a rainy day, such as it is, but it won't hold your attention for long and you'll end up playing something else. Or doing something else entirely. That's all I got. Good night.